Hey everybody, just a few days left before the London hard fork, also known as EIP 1559. It's going to reduce mining rewards for miners. The idea is that the gas fees that we currently get for mining on top of the 2 Ethereum block reward will be going away because they're going to be burnt, but they're also introducing a tip system to get your transactions through quicker, so we could potentially make more off of that, but we'll see it when it happens. As of making the video, it's 3.5 days. Kind of curious to see what happens. But if it tanks, as the worst scenario goes, and it's only 2 ETH per block that we're getting, it won't be too bad. It'll be like what earnings were about 2 weeks ago. We weren't getting much over 2 as it was. So, but all of that aside, just wanted to go through and show you guys what other coins are out there as far as power usage and stuff like that, because Ethereum is a really nice algorithm to work with because it's very low power, low heat in comparison to something like Raven that's high power, high heat. So if you're midsummer where you're at and you try to jump over to Raven, you might come into a bunch of new problems with heat. If you had planned your rig using SATA connectors on your risers, and now all of a sudden you're drawing way more power. If they're pulling too much from the riser itself, you might start getting over that limit of what SATA can handle if you're using SATA and been using SATA fine for 3 months. If you start mining something like Raven and it starts pulling more power from the riser, run into some issues, or if you've just been running on the edge of the limits of your power supply, then you could be hitting those limits. Just figured I'd run through, take some numbers down, show you what we're looking at. So what I'm using here is Hardware Info 64, and it'll show you the power draw coming from the PCIe. So like on this 2080, pulling 28 watts from the riser, 16 watts from the 6-pin, 45 watts from the 8-pin. It's a free program, so you can download it to see what your cards are drawing. Here's the 3070, 13 watts at the riser, 80 watts at the 8-pin, 27 watts at the other 8-pin. So these are on Ethereum. I have all my cards running just, wouldn't say bare minimum wattage, but very efficient. So not drawing much power. Like the 2080 Ti is down to 130 watts on one of them, 123 on another. The 3070 is drawing 120. That's running desktop right now, so the numbers are way down. But 2080 drawing 90 watts, so very low wattage. So here's what I got here is the 3070's drawing 120 watts total, 14 from the riser. 3060 Ti, almost the same thing, 120 and 13 watts. 2080 Ti, 130 watts total with 30 of that coming from the riser. 2080, 90 total, 28 from the riser. Went through and checked on some of these older cards too. 1080 Ti's pulling 130 watts, 24 that's from the riser. And then the 1070's pulling 94 watts with 51 of that coming from the riser. I did a bunch of my cards one day, and these are all the riser numbers. So most of them are right around 30. The 2060 Super is where it gets a little scary. 64 watts pulling from the riser. And then 1070 was pulling 60 when I was running with a little more power. This was from a while back. So, and then same with the 1080 Ti. These were when I was running the 1080 Ti at like 160 watts. Now I'm running them at 130, so it went down also on the riser. So let's check out some other algos and see what they're pulling from the riser. Alright, so now I got some Raven going on 2080 Ti's, 3070, also on the 1070, 1080, and then the 3060 Ti. So the numbers I got here, we got 143 and 20 from the riser on a 3070, 3060 Ti pulling 150, 23 from the riser. 2080 Ti 160, 33 from the riser. 2080 145, 36 from the riser. 1080 Ti 166 with 33 from the riser, and then the 1070 pulling 124 watts, and almost half of that coming just from the riser. So modern cards are pulling less from the riser, but they're definitely pulling more. So that's the worst case scenario. Raven's pretty extreme on you needing more power, like 2080 Ti 130 watts on Ethereum going all the way up to 160 for Raven. Temperatures will start getting up and out of hand. When I was mining Ethereum, miner 4 and miner 2, all three of these are in the hotbox. they were both running at the same temperature. So I already increased my temperatures on those cards by 5 degrees just by switching algorithms. So it kind of shows you how much more power you're using. So Ethereum is super efficient when it comes to how much power you actually need. Raven's probably the worst out of everything. MTP is about midway and about an average, so we'll take a look at that one next. Alright, so now I got Firo loaded up with the MTP algorithm. A little closer to what Ethereum pulls, not as bad as Raven. 3070 pulling 17 watts, 3060 Ti 22 watts, 2080 Ti 34 watts, 2080 33 watts, same with the 1080 Ti, and then that 1070 again pulling a lot of wattage, 51 watts from the riser. So not as bad as Raven, but be prepared to have more heat issues. Hopefully your power supplies are up to the task. If you've been running them on the edge with Ethereum and now you're jumping over to Raven, you might get some hard shutdowns when you start it up. Definitely going to have more heat you're going to have to deal with. If you've been doing well with your fans at 50%, you might have to bring them up 75, 100%. I know when I'm mining Raven in the middle of summer, I need 100% fans on those just to keep them cool. That hotbox gets pretty hot. We could take a look at full wattage here for all the cards. So like Ethereum, only like 3,600 watts total for all the cards, but Raven, extra 1,000 watts more that I'm pulling from the wall. Same with Firo, extra 1,000 watts that I'm pulling from the wall. So you need to keep in mind a lot of these Conflux Octopus algorithm, same thing, 4,500 watts and only 3,600 for Ethereum for the same amount of cards. So be prepared for more heat, more wattage. So we'll see what happens with the London hard fork. Hopefully profits are still up. We won't have to worry about it. I really like mining Ethereum just for the temperature and wattage usage. Very low in the summer. The coin I want to mine is Firo, but again, profits are up on Ethereum. Mined a nice hash, traded directly out for some Firo versus just mining Firo itself, even though they're getting pretty close again. Difficulty's been coming down, so I might be able to just start mining Firo directly again. But I can't pass up these profits, and instead of mining Ethereum directly and then trading ETH to Firo, just a little easier, go to NiceHash, I get my Bitcoin, less fees, trade it out, cash it out daily if I need to. But yeah, so hopefully that helps you out when you start switching to other coins, if we have to. We'll see what happens in 3 days, so leave a comment if you got any questions, any concerns. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy hashing. Later.